Hey guys. Um, so I thought I probably should tell you guys some of the visions that I've had lately. Um, I I I really haven't been wanting to see any kind of stuff that's been going on the earth. So I don't even tune into the earth level lately when I pray. And so I've been going to this one room that um I just go and I meet Jesus there. I pray and I look for Jesus there in that one room. And I've told you guys about it. It's that one room that has it's carpeted and it has windows all the way around. And then you can look out and there's space out there and the earth is below. Um, and it's just this wide open room and anytime that I go in there, it's always empty and there's nothing in there, and it's just me and Jesus. And I the other day, and I've been going to this room for I don't know a couple months now, and it's always empty. Like I said, it's always empty. And then the other day, um, I was actually not even praying. I was falling asleep. And as I was falling asleep, Jesus took me to that room and it was full of people. And there was I saw a man sitting at a table crying, and I saw another old man. It's an older man sitting at a table, and then I saw an old man came up to me and touched my face, and he was looking at me, and he's and he touched my face, and the whole room was full of families, whole families, like grandparents, children, parent, everything, just in whole families. And Jesus even showed me he showed me animals, and he showed me. I remember he gave my son a lamb, or he was showing me that he was going to give my son a pet lamb a long time ago. But he also gave my son a puppy in another vision. And I saw my son, and my son was older. And we were there in that room. In that room, he gave my son a puppy, and my son was playing with a puppy in that room. And then he showed me a fluffy animal that I didn't know what it was. I think it was my cat. I think it was my cat that went missing. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, I will take you, your whole family, and all your animals. Do you guys remember that? I mean, I've seen that all throughout the Bible. There's these scriptures that say, you, your family, your animals, and everything. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, that's what I saw. I saw entire families. I didn't see any animals in there at that time. But I've seen animals in there before. Like I told you, he's shown me pets, like puppies and cats and, other animals. But the way that I gathered was that the animals were in a different room. In general, they stayed in a different place. But that room, like I said, was always empty. And then the other day, and I think it was last week, I didn't even go there by my own. I was falling asleep, so I didn't even go there of my own accord. I just was falling asleep, and he took me there, and we went there in the room, and there were all these people. The whole room was full of people, and it was a joyous occasion, but not like joyous in a weird like doctrine way, where people were wearing white. No, it was just like normal people. It was just like normal people, except they were all nice people. They weren't like, but they weren't all the same though. They weren't all the same. They were all different. They weren't the same age. Some were old, some were young. They had different personalities. They're all different. It was diverse, very, very diverse. And, but it was just full. It's tons and tons of people. And then he showed me. I was kind of like, wait, what's going on? This is the first, because that was the first time that I'd ever seen all those people in there. And then he pointed up no. First he showed me to look at the floor beneath me. And I looked down, and the floor beneath where we all were, there was another floor that was totally full of people. And then he showed me to look up, and I looked up, and the floor above us was totally full of people. And then he was so happy while he was showing me all this stuff. And then he pointed out the window and said, "Look out the window." And he was so happy while he was showing me all this, like, look, And I was like, I mean, it's hard I can't express him, you know what I mean? Because I'm miserable being here. I can't even show you, but he was so happy. What I mean to say is I can't even express happiness anymore. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but he was so happy, and he was like, look out the window. And so I looked out the window, and again, I saw all these ships just everywhere. And there were so many. And I was like, oh my gosh. Do you have like all of humanity out here? I mean, because it was a lot. It was a lot of people. And it was like entire families. And I was trying to understand, and I was like, wow, I mean, how do you choose? Like, how do you know what I mean? And a thought came to my mind, and this isn't something that he showed me, or, you guys know he doesn't speak or anything. He just shows me things. But a thought came to my mind as I was seeing this, because he had shown me, in another vision that I had, he had shown me flies all over the earth. And this was, do you guys remember that vision I had where he showed me the portal and the people came through the portal? That was the vision where I think I forgot to tell you guys that part. But he showed me flies covering the whole earth. And then a thought came into my mind, and I'm not sure where this thought came from, okay? But as he was showing me the flies on the earth, this thought came to my mind. And the thought was, if you had a fly in your soup, would you remove the fly and eat the soup, or dump the soup and clean the bowl? And I thought about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. No question. I mean, if there was a fly in my soup, first I'd remove the fly, then I'd dump the soup, then I'd scrub that bowl clean. And then, clean it again. And then it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. Is he talking about the earth? And so when he showed me the people in the ships off the earth, I think it's humanity, and I think that they're saving all the humans, and I think that there's an infestation on our planet of something that's not supposed to be here. And I think maybe, I don't really know, but I think maybe that might be what's really going on. Anyway, so the question of the wheat and the chaff, um, that pretty much eliminates, all these people attacking other people and saying, oh, blah, 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 whatever. God's idea of who's valuable and who's not valuable. Well, pretty much all of humanity is valuable to God, and all of the diversity is beautiful to God. And so, I mean, I don't know, because I don't know how God judges the world. I don't know. I just know that was what it seemed like to me. It seemed like maybe it was just like all of humanity. Because you guys know there's a lot of evil going on, but maybe those people aren't human. You know what I mean? I've seen people do things that I don't think are human. I mean, anyway, I'll just leave that to another subject. But so then I had another vision, and again, this was another vision where I was half asleep, and it's different because there's multiple levels of consciousness, from waking consciousness to sleep consciousness. And what I call a dream is when I'm completely asleep and unconscious and I'm sleeping. And what I normally call a vision is something that I see when I'm fully awake and fully conscious. I mean, I could be up walking around in my house and see a vision. But there's also these other vision slash dream that's kind of in the middle, and it's where I'm half asleep. So I'm not completely asleep yet, but I'm not completely awake either. And that was the vision that I had when he took me to that room. And I usually go to that room when I'm awake in my mind. When I'm going to sleep at night, I pray, and that's where I go. And when I'm praying. And, but, this time I was like just falling asleep. I wasn't even praying or anything. And he took me there, and that's when all the people were there. And then it might have been another night or the same night, I don't really remember. But again, I was half asleep, and I saw a bull, and the bull was slowly turning around. It was facing away from me, but it was slowly turning around to face me, or what I was looking, us, everybody, slowly turning around. And as it was turning around, there was a horn blowing. But it sounded like it was an organic sound. It wasn't like a trumpet blast, like a big band trumpet or something. It was like it almost sounded like an elephant sound, but lower than that, like of a lower note, like a low horn sound. And it was just ongoing as the bull was turning around. And seemed like there was fire or something. It was red and black, and it was slowly turning around. And as it was turning around, this low horn was blowing. It sounded very organic to me. And then I saw this beast, and I saw, you guys, this is weird, and I'm not sure about this, but I saw this beast and all these heads or something running, and a chariot, and somebody riding in the chariot, and I thought it was Joe Biden. I know that sounds weird, but I mean, I'm not really sure about that, but I thought I saw his face, because I saw this person laughing, and it looked like, it reminded me of that interview where Joe Biden was laughing. So I don't know. That's weird, I know, but I'm out of time. I'll let you guys go.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to remember this vision that I had last night. I had it last night. He showed me a ladder that was vertical, and then he was showing me the the steps on the ladder, and he was going down. So he starting from the top, and then he was going down, 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 and then when he got to the bottom, it seemed like there was maybe like 5 steps, but I didn't count them. And then when he got to the bottom one, he sliced it off. And then he showed me the same thing again, only this time the ladder was horizontal. It was like laying flat. And then he again counted down the ladder. Um, and then when he got to the last rung of the ladder, um, for some reason, the thought came into my mind, debt. But I don't really know if there's any correlation between that thought that I had and what I was seeing. I don't know. Maybe not. But I just um, it kind of made me wonder if maybe that's what he was showing with the ladder. But I don't know what he was showing, and I've been wrong before, so I won't try to put my own idea on it. Then he was tying these little bows onto something, although I didn't see what he was tying it on. And then he put a hat on and took out this wand, and then he started leading an orchestra, like waving his wand in his hands like an orchestra leader. And then I saw the people in the audience, and they were dressed up in nice clothing. You know, the ladies were in dresses and heels, and the men were wearing suits. And it seemed like maybe it was a classical concert or something, and it was a really nice theater. And outside of the theater, the buildings were just crashing to the ground, and there was just all this chaos. But the people inside the theater had no idea what was going on outside of the theater, because there was the orchestra was synchronized with the events outside. I know that sounds weird, but like if a building crashed outside, the orchestra would like reach a high loud point, so that all of the people inside of the theater had no idea whatsoever that there was all this chaos going outside. And then when the concert was done, then they walked outside of the theater, and there was just nothing. I mean, it was just piles of rock. Like all the buildings had crashed to the ground, and they didn't even know, I didn't even see it. And then they walked out in their heels and their nice clothes, and to this complete and utter destruction all around them. And I just had this sense when I was looking at this. I was thinking, wow, can you imagine that? I mean, if you had no idea that something was even going on outside, and then all of a sudden you walk outside and your whole world is destroyed. I mean, it would. I just kept thinking they must have gone insane, like just lost it, and just started like muttering, and just gone literally insane after that, because that would have been that would just be so weird to not know that something was happening and then have it happen. And then of course, it made sense to me when I think about the people, and I don't know if this is what the vision was referring to, but when I think of people that just have no clue at all that anything is happening, it just reminds me of that. Like maybe it means that something's coming that's gonna just they're gonna have to. It's gonna be extra hard for them because they're not prepared psychologically. Anyway, then he took out these straws or toothpicks or something, I don't know what they were, and he pulled them out, and I counted them this time. I counted them. So he went 1, and then he laid it down on the table, and then 2. He held it up in front of me, 2, and then laid it down on the table, and then he held up another one, 3, 4, 5, and he kept doing that, and I was counting them this time, and he went all the way up to the number to 12, and then he laid it down. And this was so weird because I didn't know when he was going to stop. And I kept thinking, okay, when is he going to stop? Is this going to go on forever? But then he stopped at 12. And then after the 12th one, he slammed his hands down on the table. I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that while I was watching him do this, I didn't even remember until today that the number 12 is a significant number in the Bible. Like last night when I was seeing this, I didn't even, honestly, I really didn't even think of it. But now I think, wait a minute, 12 that's a significant number in the Bible. So I don't know what that means. I have no idea. And then there was something else. Let me see if I can remember it. Okay, yeah, there was one other thing. Before he showed me any of that stuff, he pointed up in the sky, and it looked like he was pointing to the northeast up in the sky, and then he took out a mirror and was pointing the mirror up to the sky. So I'm not sure why he did that. I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that I can even think of is that maybe it has something to do with chemtrails, because I know that chemtrails have aluminum in them. And I know that aluminum is reflective, and so I'm not saying that's what he was saying, because I don't know what he was saying. But that, like I said, I don't know, but that's the only thing that I can think of, so maybe. But he didn't show me chemtrails, though, and it seems like he would have shown me. It seems like if that's what he was showing me, he would have just showed me that. But he didn't. I mean, he showed me a mirror. So, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I can't remember anything